I know we've only known each other for 4 weeks and 3 days, but to me, it seems like 9 weeks and 5 days.
All right, all my passionate plant people and garden enthusiasts. Welcome to the Let's Get Growing Show, the Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing Show here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'm your host today, or one of your hosts today. It is, again, the Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing Show, and today is the third Sunday of the month. That's right, third Sunday of the month. It's our monthly gardening book club. That's right, we got our good friend Mr. MBC joining with us here in just a few minutes for In the Garden and helping us co-host our monthly gardening book club. And this month, we are featuring Christy Wilhelmi's second book in the Garden Variety series, Bolting to Seed. Yeah, a garden mystery novel. So this is going to be really fun to have Christy back on again. Yes, this is her second round, our first return author to our monthly gardening book club for her really fun book here, Bolting to Seed. It was really a fun read. I can't wait to talk to her just a little bit here on the show coming up. And yeah, so right here at the top of the show, though, let's go ahead and you know what to do. Let's click that like button, hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming shows, live streams, videos, all that sort of stuff. Share with your friends and let them know about all of these great fun gardening conversations we're having here each and every weekend right here on the Let's Get Growing show every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, definitely let everyone know about that. And thank you all for showing up here for our replay. Yes, Team Replay, thank you so much for joining us on your time. Let us know you're here, definitely in the comments below. Let us know where you're growing from, what you got growing on, how are things growing in the garden for you this season. We're well into it. It's summer time too now, so I definitely want to hear all about how your summer gardens are growing along in the comment section below, or just drop in and say hello. And if you are here with us live, definitely jump into the conversation. Join our chat here. That's right. Join in on the chat. And we do have roll call coming up here also in just a few minutes as well, too. This is our segment up front in the show where we get to give you, the viewers, a big, huge shout out here. So definitely drop into the chat there for roll call. Let us know you're here. Let us know where you're growing from. Just like all of our team replay, let us know what's growing on in your garden and all of that, too, as well. So yeah, we can shout you out here in just a few minutes, definitely. And also, follow all the links down below in the description there to our guests. And yeah, and also get yourself a copy of Bolting to Seed, and really great book. I can't wait, like I said, to talk to Christy about it, but get yourself a copy in the link down below as well too. And if you have any questions for our guests here on the show, definitely drop those into the chat as well, and we just might feature those throughout the show. So definitely, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Great show, like I said, ahead for us today. I hope everything's been growing really good for you out in your garden spaces. I was mentioning to everybody yesterday that so far, which is really kind of kind of a nice surprise, I suppose, after all these years now, they're just kind of, so hot that, things start really in the garden really start to, kind of slow down a little bit as we're getting into the summertime, as our heat, especially down here in southern Oregon, in this valley I live in, just really starts to get really super, super hot. But we've had some pretty good warm days, that's for sure. Some really, really upper 90s we've reached a couple of times so far. But I do have to say, I don't think we've hit 100 degrees yet so far for our spring, which is something that we've been getting used to over the last couple of years. And I think the garden's really kind of showing the results of a little bit of a cooler start to our summertime this year. The tomato plants are out there just growing like gangbusters right now. I've got a bunch of cool fruits all over the plants that are working on ripening up and everything. And as people who've been following along with me know, this has been one of my biggest challenges over the last few years, is trying to, kind of get the timing right and how I'm handling this just really extreme heat that just starts to bear down on my tomato crops every single year so far. And again, just, I'm sure we've got some plenty of hot days still yet to come, as summer is just starting this weekend. So, plenty to look forward to, I'm sure. But it's been kind of nice to have kind of a little bit of a cooler run up to summer to get those plants a nice, good head start as we do head into that warmer season there. So I've been just really enjoying that as far as my tomatoes. So hopefully it's a really good tomato season for us this year, which hasn't been the case for a while. Lots of other things growing like crazy out there too, doing really great. We've got a bunch of squash, and I was mentioning yesterday too, my one big goal for this year was to grow a big pumpkin for my granddaughter for this upcoming Halloween and all of that, and have a nice little pumpkin patch for her and all of that sort of stuff. So everything's going great as far as those are going. So looking forward to all of that. Beans everywhere. We got beans this year. That's probably the real theme of the garden throughout all of our garden spaces, is all the different bean varieties. I was also mentioning yesterday, I was going through all of my seeds, kind of looking at what am I going to grow this year? What am I going to do? And I just had a massive amount of different types of beans that I've been collecting over the last several years. And a lot of them I just haven't had a chance to grow yet. So we're trying out a bunch of different beans and all of that sort of stuff too. So again, as it's summertime right now, and I kind of teased this out last week or the week before, is that I'm going to be working on and putting out a summer garden tour video where I can kind of take you around all the different garden spaces and show you all the different things that we've got growing, and show you all those really great different bean varieties that we have growing around in our different garden spaces around here. So lots and lots of fun growing on out in the garden for sure. Just really, really great start. And that was another kind of theme of yesterday's show too. Throughout the chat was a lot of folks were just talking about how well their gardens are growing this year too. So I think it's a pretty good garden season so far, is what I'm hearing, not just in my own garden, but everybody else as well too. So that's really, really great. And also too, let's not forget, let's send out a big, huge happy Father's Day out there to all of the dads out there. I hope you all are getting a good chance today to be able to spend some good time, not only with your family and all of that, but let's have a good time hanging out in your garden and getting to enjoy your garden space as well too, for all of our gardening dads out there. So happy Father's Day to all of you. So, and thanks for joining with us here today on Father's Day as well too. So I thought, what a great way for me to kind of get my Father's Day started today, is to get to hang out with all of my gardening friends, all of you, our great guest today, Christy, my good friend, Mr. MBC, joining with us in a few minutes here as well too, So what a great start for this Father's Day for me, for sure. So thank you everybody for being here and hanging out with me today. Right on. And let's go ahead and let's get into it here and jump right into our roll call.
My name is Kevin. Yeah. That is my name. Yeah. They call me Kevin. Yeah. Because that's my name. Roll call.
All right. It's roll call time. And this is the part of the show where we get to give you, the audience out there, big, huge shout out here. As this show wouldn't be anything without all of you. So, again, like I said, thank you for joining with me here today. Thanks for jumping into our chat and participating with us here on the show. And right at the top, we definitely want to give a big, huge thank you to our good friend, the J-Bot, our show facilitator, producer. Thank you so much for all that you do. And everybody keep an eye out for all of the links and information that Jay shares with us throughout the show in the chat. And she's joining us from Huron County, Midwestern Ontario, in the lee of Lake Huron. Thanks again, Jay. Thank you. And we've got our good friend David from Bowtie Life. Triple G greetings, global gardeners from the Emerald Coast of Florida, where the house remodel is flying along, and the Bowtie Gardens have now produced over 75 pounds of berries. Wow. That's a lot of berries for sure. Right on. And if you didn't get a chance to check out yesterday's show, David was with us live, hanging out with us for a fun roundtable conversation. Let's see here. We got EE201. Hello. How are you doing? Thank you for joining with us today. Good to see you here. Let's see what David says. Mr. Botron is holding their first hand pie, the first pie of the season, peach filling, diving in. Oh, and yeah. Peach pie. Now that sounds really, really good. Love peaches. Peaches are good this year too. That's what I gotta say about that for sure. Urban Egg Solutions. There's our man, Mr. NBC. Howdy from Portlandia, Oregon. Right on. Yeah. I was gonna say the peaches this year, man. Last year and the year before, even a little bit. I mean, it was okay the year, but last year I could not find a good peach anywhere. Couldn't find a good peach anywhere. This year, I've been having so many delicious peaches. Great peach year. And let's see. Nope. Here we are. How you doing, Cam? Good to see you here. Thanks for joining with us today. Great to have you. We've got Muddy Puddles Farm jumping in, joining us from across the pond over in Cornwall, UK. And Joe's over there harvesting herbs for drying and harvesting up the elephant garlic. Right on. I was mentioning yesterday too, I didn't plant out any garlic for my own garden spaces this year, but I did have a couple that got left behind in the garden space that popped up, and one of them was my elephant garlic. And you don't get the big size garlic if you're leaving the whole cloves in there from the season before. They just kind of spread out and split up, and they don't really form very well. But still got some good chunks of some elephant garlic out of it, anyways. And look, it's Adam. Adam joining us here today, my good friend from right up the road here in Central Point, Oregon. And he's listening in today while getting some stuff done around the house. Like I said, it's a great way to listen to the show. You can just kind of pop us on your phone or your computer or whatever you're listening through, and just kind of set us aside and go do your, in this case, house chores, or go out into the garden and do the garden chores you got to get done, and listen to the Let's Get Growing show while you're doing that. And yes, happy Father's Day. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Appreciate all of you fathers spending your day hanging out with us here today. Jay says, I've been harvesting rhubarb to donate to a nonprofit seniors dinner. Yeah. You remember we got to kind of take a look at some of that rhubarb last week. I think it was last week on last Saturday's show. Jay joined up with us and did a cool a little slideshow of some of the things that she's got growing on there. And I remember seeing those rhubarb there too. So harvesting time. And also from across the pond over in Cornwall, England, we also have our friend Sean the Gardener with us. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here on Father's Day. And says, yes, some of my onions are bolting. Oh my. I've got a few onions that I let go to seed that I'm just waiting for right now for the seed to harden up and get ready to harvest the seed from these plants. So I've got a few bolted onions out there too. Jay says, I discovered that the baby rabbit that were nesting in my garden came back to eat down my asparagus and beans. I must replace with rabbit-resistant plants and fix the fence. Ooh, yeah, rabbits, all of those animal pests. I have enough trouble with all of the insect pests that I've got to deal with in my garden, let alone having to deal with animal pests too. Oh, I feel sorry for all of you who've got to deal with those rabbits and deer and all of that sort of stuff as well. And let's see here. We got John Jude with us. He says, you should scratch your granddaughter's name into the skin on her pumpkins. She will like it. Oh, that's a good idea. Maybe we should do that for sure. I love it. That's a great idea. I'm going to do that. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. That's a great suggestion. We got Robin Gardens in the chat joining us from Chicagoland. Robin's editing this morning, getting ready to put out a new video tomorrow. Definitely go over and check that out. If you haven't checked out Robin Gardens, she's got a great channel over there. And go check out her new video tomorrow. Excellent. Janet in the conversation as well, joining us from Central Texas, Zone 9A. Thank you, Janet, for hanging out with us today. Always great to see you here with us. And we've got Nancy here with us as well, too. Hello from Northern New Jersey, Zone 7. Awesome. So great to have you here with us. Thank you so much for being here. And let's see, Sean the gardener says, I had a rat by the greenhouse the other day. Not seen it today though. Yeah, hopefully it's not messing around with any of your plants or anything. But like I said, I feel bad for all of you who got to deal with those animal pests. Luckily, I haven't had any. I mean, rats, I could get those. I'm sure those would be running around, but I haven't had any dealings with them at all. But right on, everybody. Thank you so much again for being here. Thank you for dropping in for our roll call. And if you didn't get your name mentioned, or if you hadn't had a chance to jump into our chat yet, continue to jump in. Let us know where you're growing from, what you got growing on, and all of that sort of stuff. And we'll feature it throughout the show down below. And again, if you have any questions or anything like that too, definitely pop those into the chat. All right, everybody. It's time to jump in and have a little chat in the garden with our good friend, Mr. MBC. All right. Let's welcome to the show my good friend, your good friend, our monthly gardening book club co-host. And we're in the garden with Mr. MBC, Marc Boucher-Colbert. Great to have you here with us today.
Thanks for being back. Happy Father's Day to you. And
yes, happy Father's Day to you.
To all plant fathers too. I got a coffee mug that says Plant Dad that I just pulled out this morning. I wasn't even thinking, then I pulled it out. I was like, oh yeah, that's a great mug for Father's Day. Everybody here is a kind of a plant dad. We get to exhibit mothering and fathering behaviors with our little charges from the plant kingdom.
Yeah. They're like all of our I guess you'd say extended family kids. You know what I mean? They're all our kids, basically, right? We got
it's kind of funny.
Take care of them and
jumping ahead to the book, it's kind of like the main, without doing too much spoiler here, the main character sort of experiences this sense of like, I can't have kids, and she goes through this whole big thing, but then she starts to put the pieces together of like, well, if I can take care of plants, maybe I can take care of kids. And it's like, of course, it's not the same thing, but there's a lot of time, responsibility, and effort in plant care. I mean, you have to approach it with a certain seriousness if you want the end product to be good. So there are maybe more analogies than we sometimes think of between human care and plant care. So
right.
Happy
Exactly.
Happy Plant Father's Day to all the plant dads out there. Even if you're not a biological father of a human being, you're definitely a plant dad.
Yeah, there you go, right? Exactly. I love it. I know. It's so great. Like you're saying though, is there is that sort of extreme care that a lot of us real like I start the show, garden enthusiasts and passionate plant people really take to our gardens and all of that sort of stuff, and sometimes it can feel like parenting, right? So sometimes we got some really good kids out there, and sometimes we got some unruly kids out there. We gotta
Oh
we
yeah.
gotta really there's all sorts of aspects of the garden space that kind of makes you feel like that plant parent for sure.
Yeah, and once you it's kind of weird because you have to go through all the cycles every year. You get like
Hmm.
this foot on the gas stage where you can't take your eye off of anything. It's like the young kids that are going to get into something, but by the time the season ends, it's like the mature. You're sending off the mature teenager, young adult into the rest of their life. You can rest and relax, but then as soon as February comes around again, you're back to the young toddler. The infant. You're starting the seeds. So these life cycles are just repeating every year, every year, every year.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes, and you know what? And sometimes we're just more successful with how we're dealing with things year after year. So, like, we're better parents some years than we are other years.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, on the human side, you don't really get to do a redo of any given year.
Right.
With plants, you do a redo every year. It's like I'm starting fresh unless it's a perennial, of course.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway,
I love those analogies. That's
enough for
great.
analogy. Right. We can analogize all day.
That's for sure. So, how are things growing out in the gardens for you out there? Where have you been spending the most time this last week or so? Has it been the rooftop, the school garden, your home garden?
Well, I wish I could say my home garden gets first, but it gets third usually. Um,
Right.
Definitely school garden and the noble rod is where I'm spending the most time, kind of getting everything ready. I'm about ready to go away I'm going away for 4 days here at the end of the week.
Mm,
And that just kind of presents challenges, if you're not there to look over stuff all the time. So I'm trying to plant up a lot of things that I had waiting around in pots. Um,
hmm
just get everything into stable settings so that it's good.
Oh, did we lose audio?
Um, Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah. So anyway, getting ready to go away, trying to get everything stabilized. Got our first harvest out. Garlic is out, so that feels good to have a crop that's ready. It's drying right now, curing. Pretty soon
Hmm.
I'll bring it inside and kind of. It's nice to check the first thing off the box and be like, all right, we got the yield on this.
Yeah. We were actually kind of talking about this just a little bit yesterday on yesterday's show too, as well. So when it's one of those crops, one of those first things in our summer season that we're harvesting out of our garden because we started it all the way back in fall and been waiting for it and everything. But what are some of the things that you're thinking about with the space that you've been growing in that garlic in after you've harvested it?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Well, I have kind of a plan for it. It's in terms of the rotation pattern that I have. This particular garlic bed is going to go to fall lettuce, but
Hmm.
in between now and then, I love to substitute in a quick growing cover crop like buckwheat that does well in the hot weather. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna load it up with buckwheat that will just um, keep roots in the ground, keep me watering it a little bit. It will smother weeds that are coming up, and then it will just tills in real fine and presents a really nice tilt to the
Mhm.
soil after it's done growing. So
Yeah.
I love growing up buckwheat during the summer, and I'll be doing that. And that will just basically place hold the bed
Yeah.
until and I'll start the lettuce indoors in cell in plugs, and then I'll
Mhm.
plant that out about late August. So I'll probably start it early August indoors, plant out late August, and then it should be ready for early October and then last us all the way into the winter.
Perfect. That's great.
Yeah.
And yeah. Also, I was just talking about earlier and thinking about this is in mentioning this, and I was just wondering for you up in Portland, how are you feeling a little cooler start to our garden season this year than what we've been experiencing these last few years up in Portland, like I am down here in Southern Oregon?
Yes. Yeah, we have not had the really punishing heat yet. Like
Hmm.
you alluded to, we've had a couple of 90-degree days. I think we have one or two more coming up this week, but I'm also even seeing some rain on the forecast for
Yeah.
late in the week. So
Yeah.
I'm liking that. Yeah, a lot of 70-degree days. We're definitely in what we call the June
After what
season.
we've been through for the last many years and all of that, it's definitely kind of a welcome kind of, summer experience for us. Just a little bit cooler start to it.
Oh yeah, it takes the edge off. I tell you, 5 degrees can make a gigantic difference.
Hmm.
Even just 85 and breezy is just totally different than once you head up into the 90s. It's so much more fatiguing. Everything dries out so much faster. It just gets
Yeah.
to be a real challenge when you're pounded 90-degree day after 90-degree day, or many
Yeah.
parts of the US have to endure
Yeah.
triple digits day after day after day. So
Right.
I feel like,
Exactly.
yeah,
And
we're
that's the thing, by this time, by summertime over the last many years, we've already had several triple digit days through our spring, and then this year, I don't think we've had one yet. So,
yeah.
I mean, we've had a few, dips into those above 95s, just a couple of times so far, but for the most part, keeping it down lower. And it's like, my tomato plants, this has been my biggest struggle,
Yeah,
is because
you
once you,
suffer from overheating, right? The overheat on the tomatoes, they won't set
yeah,
fruit,
yeah.
right?
They just won't set fruit, and once you're trying to get them started, with, your last frost date, which is really kind of, up there, you've only got these few weeks,
Yeah.
before, summertime gets started. And
Mm.
in that period of time over the last few years, we just get bombarded with such heavy heat that it's just so hard on those plants. I don't really get that earlier crop like we're looking for. I've got to wait all the way into the fall a lot of times to start getting, for things to start cooling down again, for those plants to really start producing. And yeah, so far my plants are looking amazing. I've got fruits all over, a bunch of them and
That's
everything
great.
too. So, and I definitely attribute that to, it's got to be to a lot of that, cooler weather so far.
Yeah, well, let's fingers crossed. Let's hope you don't get blasted before they at least can set a great set of fruit.
Yeah, exactly. So far, and I keep an eye on that forecast. It's looking good. Like you said, we've got a period two coming up, and it's probably around those same days and everything that you're looking at, where we're gonna have some rain coming up still too, which is great. Let's get some more
Yeah.
rain in while we can. So
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we rely on it. I mean, we're low this year for rain, and I'm doing some dry land farming at school, and there it's like the
yeah,
rain is key to charge the soil. The 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 sooner the rain ends, the worse it is for dry land. And I sometimes do have to do a little supplemental irrigation, even in this season, because we did have a bit of a dry spring. It was mild, but it was a little drier. So yeah, I'm welcoming all the rain that we can get.
mm-hmm,
You know, with summer rain, though, it can be, unless you get a really heavy dousing, it can be really deceiving because you spend the day, a rainy day, the soil looks dry, looks wet on the top, but
yep,
you really have to investigate to make sure it penetrated down because,
mm-hmm,
I think it can be the great deceiver.
yes. Yes, really. And yeah, for sure, even, like you're mentioning rain when that happens too, but this is also the case as well too for us hand waterers, right? We're out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
I mean, you don't take the top of your garden looking wet as though that it's all the way down into the roots and all that sort of stuff, especially if you're dealing with some really, dry days and things like that as well too, because it can dry down really deep and only get so wet as you're watering.
Yeah,
And that's
this
the
is
same
where,
case with rain as well.
I haven't used this very much, and I don't know if you've tried it as much, but these Oyas, the clay vessels that you bury
Mm,
deep into the earth, that becomes a really great complement to top watering, because and you can effectively make something like that out of a buried bucket where you just put a few tiny little holes, or you give it a way of just releasing really slowly. But to
Yeah.
get the water down, or some kind of a PVC tube or something, you can get water down below, quite a ways down into the subsoil, and that can be a really nice complement to top watering, just
Yeah.
because it's so easy to become deceived by the look of the soil. If you're not probing, you got to get in there with your moisture meter finger.
Yeah. Your moisture
Down
meter. I like your moisture meter. That's a good one. Yeah, definitely. Right on. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, so everything's growing well and doing all that.
Yeah, so far so good. Potatoes. We have a lot of potatoes at school.
Mm.
That looks really good. It's just a bit of a race at this point. Like I'm really starting to focus on the winter crops. I've got leeks in pots that I have to transplant out. Right after that is Brussels sprouts. It just seems like there's always something that absolutely needs to go in this week. So summer's a race. I mean, it's just, you got to stay on pace and got to keep going. And there's always something more to plant. And then probably sometime around, when I was a vegetable farmer and ran a CSA, my partner and I, we would get to August 1st, and that felt like we had what we call broke the back of the summer. We finally made it to the point where it wasn't quite as intense in terms of the plant. You got planting, watering, weeding, harvesting, all that stuff. And maybe a little bit of the planting started to fall off a bit August 1st or right around there. So it felt like we could catch a tiny little breath. So we're just obviously today's the first day of summer. Happy summer. And here it goes. We're just right in the midst of it. So
yeah, right on. Excellent. Well, it's a good little update from In the Garden here with Mr. MBC. And let's go ahead and take a little break here real quick, and we'll be right back, and we'll get this monthly gardening book club started up. We got a fun book to talk about
looking
today.
forward to it.
Right on. Excellent. All right. We'll see you all in just one moment.
Hello, Let's Get Growing Live gardening community. I'm Charles Malky, biologist and co-founder of Ivy Organic brand products. Ivy Organic is based on whitewashing, a time-tested way to protect plants from summer sunburn, winter sun scald, pests, transplant shock, and environmental stresses. Unlike latex or tar-based products that crack, peel, and leave residue on your soil indefinitely, Ivy Organic is truly organic and a healthier alternative. It dries on porous, allowing plants to breathe and heal naturally without rotting. Also ideal for protecting your pruning and grafting wounds. Available in white for maximum reflection, or natural tones like brown, green, gray, and grayish. Ivy Organic protects while blending beautifully with your landscape. Choose from the whitewash oil-free formula or the 3-in-1 plant guard made with natural oils to help repel insects and rodents. Protect your plants the smart, organic way with Ivy Organic. Learn more at ivyorganics.com, and wishing you all happy gardening.
All right. Here we are back at it. And again, real quick, thanks to Ivy Organics for being our show's sponsor here on the Let's Get Growing show. Go check them out over at ivyorganics.com and get some of that 3-in-1 plant guard. Use our promo code GROW10, GROW10, and get 10% off. Right on. Here we are. I think it's about time for us, Mark, to get this monthly gardening book club started.
Yes, let's do it. Bolting to seed. Let's bolt right to this discussion.
All right. Okay. Monthly gardening book club time. And yes, that's right. We got another great novel in this Garden Variety series. I think, what was it? Garden Variety the
Yep.
first one.
I don't have I lent it to somebody, so I can't show the first one, but you got it there.
Yeah, I think Christy was our third book for our monthly gardening book club. So it's really great we have her back here for our for the next book in the series, though, but our first return author to the monthly gardening book club. And just really enjoyed the first book so much that when we saw that she had the Bolting to Seed book coming out, I was like, oh, we definitely got to have her back on to talk about the further adventures of Lizzy and the Vistamar community garden. And this time we've got a mystery involved, which is really fun. And I would like to say, though, too, as well, it's with this monthly gardening book club, it's just really fun to be able to, enjoy all these different types of books that you can get within gardening, right? A lot of how-to books, a lot of other books that, that we've had here and everything, but to have a cool fiction, some stories, some characters, and all that sort of stuff is just a really fun way to experience our monthly gardening book club.
Well, what's fun about this is, Christy is a garden consultant and a writer of other garden books, nonfiction garden books. So she packs a lot of gardening tips in.
Yeah.
You get a bit of a gardener's education. The garden isn't just the setting. In other words, it's not just like kind of a backdrop. There's some active knowledge going on. And then there's some, a page of garden tips at the end. And it's like, hey, in case you missed this, I mentioned this in the book, and here it is. So it'll be fun to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's in really kind of fun and cool. And I like the creative ways that she's able to weave those into the whole story. It's really great. So, all right, well, let's go ahead here real quick, and let's go ahead and welcome to the show. We've got Christy here with us today. That's what makes our monthly garden book so fun, is we get to hang out with the authors, and there she is.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. Christy, thanks for being here with us again, or returning to the monthly gardening book club.
Great to be with you again. Wow, with another book under your belt. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm so happy to be here to talk about it with you guys, because I haven't been able to talk about it with too many people so far. So yay, let's get started.
It is so new, hot off the press, basically, too, which is really great. But really had some fun over the last week or so, just digging into this book, going back down there to the Vistamar garden, and getting to reacquaint with a couple of the characters, and a couple of new characters, and all this sort of stuff going on and everything too. So really great job, first and foremost, of being able to recreate the setting and bring us back to that garden in such a fun way too.
Thank you. I have heard from folks they're really happy to be back and to revisit the characters. And someone posted a comment the other day saying it was actually a review. They were really happy to see that Ralph was a main character in this book, because he was one of their favorite characters. So I was really happy to hear that, because he's one of my favorite characters too.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. I love the journey he takes.
For people who are maybe haven't read your first book, or weren't with us for the first time, can you just kind of sketch the arc of the first one just a little bit? To give a context, because this, like you said, this is a return of many of the characters. Can you just say a little bit about the first book in your own words?
Sure. The first book, Garden Variety, it's set in a community garden in Los Angeles where Lizzy is the main character, and there's a love interest, Jared, and a whole eclectic cast of characters, including Ned and Mary and Bernice and Ralph. And they are trying to coexist in the space where there's a great diversity of people, personality types, and cultures. And they have to, at some point, save the garden from being shut down. And there's a little romance brewing between Lizzy and Jared all the while. So you get to follow them through that story. And then Bolting to Seed picks up about a year and a half later, after the end of Garden Variety.
Yeah. So again, So and you spend some time kind of filling in the blanks a little bit throughout this one and everything too. And without actually given away anything, I suppose. I mean,
Yeah,
what
we have
can
to
you
be
what can
careful.
what yeah, I know. That's the whole thing about these types of books and everything too. A regular garden book, it's all right. We can give everything away. It's good.
Yeah,
This or
yeah.
that. But this one we got to be real careful about how and what we're talking about here. But what would be your description of what people can expect when they get into Bolting to Seed?
Bolting to Seed has a murder. That we'll start with.
Okay.
It is, I know the reason, and I think we've talked about this before on this show, is that when Garden Variety came out and when I was describing it to people, they'd be like, who gets murdered? I'm like, no one gets murdered. What is that? And
Yeah,
so I was like,
no.
all right, the second one's going to have a murder. So it does. So there is a murder. We cannot reveal who is murdered or who the murderer is. But you get to meet some new characters in the story, including Gloria, the first I want to say Latina trans homicide detective in Los Angeles in the LAPD, and Lizzy and Gloria's awesome. She's kick-ass. So when Gloria shows up on the scene to solve the murder, she and Lizzy end up befriending one another, and it reignites a former passion for gardening in Gloria that she's got her whole story as well. So there's that, and then there are a couple of new characters as well, including Tyler and Sue Jin. And basically the book tries to paint everybody as a possible suspect, and you get to figure out who it really is by the end.
Yeah, that's true too. And I love that part of it, or that aspect of it too, is like you're reading through and I'm like, okay, I'm trying, this leads to this. I think it's this person. It's gotta be this one.
And you're sure.
Well,
and I will admit, I was wrong twice.
Yeah,
okay,
I was for sure. I was literally for sure on a couple of them. I was like, okay, it doesn't make one of them. I was trying to figure out in my head. I'm like, it doesn't make sense why I think it's them for sure, but there's a couple of reasons here that it just seems. And so I'm like going in that direction for a while, and but yeah, it didn't pan out.
Now, some of these characters, one of the things that I've liked about the two books is that, there's a lot of realism in who these characters are and how they interact with each other. And that's been borne out by your long experience in community gardens. So I know you say that Lizzy was loosely based on you earlier on. I mean, you said that in our last interview, but these other characters are kind of composites, but these are people have met, have observed over a long history in a community garden, right?
This book has a lot more made up people that aren't, I mean, I would say there are traits of these characters that resemble friends of mine or people I've met in community gardens. But the book has these characters, and Vistamar Gardens has sort of taken on a life of its own now.
Okay.
And it's, I can't really trace some of these new characters back to actual people anymore.
Okay.
So
Right.
yeah. That said, I know I created Tyler specifically for Bowen Yang to play him in the movie /
There you
TV
go.
series. I'm like, it has to be Bowen Yang. It absolutely has
You know
to
what?
be
That is
Bowen
really
Yang.
kind of something, because as I was thinking about, and reading that, I almost had like kind of that image as I was reading. I wouldn't say specifically, but someone of that type of character for sure.
Yeah, he has to. Are you listening, Bowen Yang?
I know. Go on.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So tell us about the process of writing a second book. Like, I mean, I know last time you were already last time we talked to you, you were well underway, and also you said that the first book took a long time to germinate in your mind and go. So I mean, in a lot of ways, you're deep into, I think there was a third plan, you're deep into the third, but just like when you write a second book in the same theme, like what happens inside of you? How is it as an author? How is it to inhabit that world?
Right. I feel like it's got a multi-level process. So for me, I like to outline, I like to outline the process. So of what I think the turn of events will be. And there's that classic, I don't know, you can look up the chart. There's a graph that people make that's, what the first act, second act, and third act of a story are supposed to look like. And usually the second act is divided into part 1 and part 2. And so I was sort of outlining things in that way to see how is this going to play out, because you have to have certain things happen by the end of each of those acts. And I also studied, I grew up only reading mysteries, so there's a lot of that structure that's ingrained in me, but I did a bit of research to find out what formulas people follow in terms of how they reveal their murderer and all of that stuff. But I've also watched a lot of things where I grew up in a family where my dad would walk through the room and be like, he did it. And, and I'm like, come on, Dad, it just, we give it away. But then we'd start studying the structure of how that appears, how the clues drop and all of that stuff. So I spent a lot of time watching murder mystery shows and stuff like that as well. And then when it comes down to the garden part, I made a list of, I have been making a list, and I keep adding to it for the third book. What are the gardening lessons that I think should be infused into this book? And I get to like 10 or 11 of those written down, and then I figure out how to weave them in through the story as I'm writing it. And then really going through each character and figuring out what their story arc will be for each act, because they have to, characters start out one way and they have to end up sort of the opposite of where they started, or there has to be some kind of growth, or else what's the point of that character?
Yeah.
So that's where I work from. And I have a notebook that I keep notes on for when I get an idea, and I write it down, because the next time I go back, honestly, and read it, I have been like, oh, that's good. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Glad I wrote that down. So
yeah, I just, I heard Lin-Manuel Miranda interviewed, and when he was writing Hamilton, he would have these epiphanies, and he had to go attend to them. So at one point he was on his way to a birthday party of a friend. He had a big epiphany for a song in the subway on the way. He literally got to the door, gave his friend the birthday present, then raced home so he could write the song that had just come to him. Because, these things are fleeting. If you don't capture them somehow, there's no guarantee that they're going to come back.
Yeah, and they're just little sparks that show up every once in a while, and then the rest of the world floods in and just buries it, and it doesn't come back the same way. If you even remember what it is, it's not going to have the same impact or intensity or detail that it had when it first arrived. So I keep my notebook right here next to me, and I'm always writing stuff down.
Nice.
That's great. That's great. And Marc kind of touched on a little bit too, as we, with the previous book, we talked about, the main character, Lizzy, and characteristics that she has and everything that come from you yourself, in a sense, in a way. And there was one I was going to say throughout the book that I was just kind of noticing. Every time I saw something throughout the book, I was like, boy, she's must be a big fan of like movies and that sort of thing as well too, right? So did I pin that right? Is that a characteristic that you share with Lizzy?
That is correct. Lizzy and I are both cinephiles, and
yes.
I think in movies I always have, and so it was really easy to just pull up film references anytime going through this story. It was like, oh, it's just like blah blah blah, and I almost never had to search for a comp title for the moments that came up, because I think in movies. So it was just really easy to do. I just have to double check them, because any movie reference in the book has to happen before a certain year, because this is technically set not current, not in our present day. It's from about 10 years, in this case 12 years ago now.
12 years ago.
So the timeline has to line up with those movie titles. They're all from prior,
right.
Prior to 2000. I think this book, it was 2014, and in the first book, I think it was 2012.
Okay.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Well, that's good to know too. There, I wasn't in that timeline. But yeah, no, I noticed that when I was every time too. I was like, oh, that's a good reference too. I like that because I am too. I love movies and those sort of things too. And so each time those things kind of popped up, I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I was starting to think this has got to be something that Christy shares with Lizzy for sure.
Yeah, my friends know that I love nothing more than holding myself up in a dark room to watch movies.
That's right.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of the garden lessons that you impart, and I like how you pull some of them out at the end, just in case people weren't noticed. But what you said a minute ago was kind of interesting. Like I have to think through what I want to do, and I can only imagine that there's any number of things you could go off on or go off on a tangent. So are the garden lessons integral to the, or how do the garden lessons in your mind weave into the storyline?
Usually what happens is when I'm working in the garden, something comes up and I'm like, oh yeah, that would be a good lesson. And so it usually gets woven into somebody in the moment in the garden doing something, and it comes up, that particular problem comes up. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but when I'm in the garden, I'm not wearing a headset or anything. I'm just in the garden. I know a lot of people put headphones on and listen to music or podcasts while they're gardening, but I like to just be there. And
me too.
Yeah, and when I am, and that may just be because we're older, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I like to hear the sound of the soil crunch under my feet and the birds and it's just like I would never ride a bicycle while wearing earphones because you lose one of your senses. And when we're gardening, we're doing that. And so for me, when I'm in the garden and my hands are in the dirt, there's so much going on in my head. I'm thinking about all kinds of things, and what comes up is creative, or it's problem solving, or I'm just thinking through a problem to try and figure out what the solution is going to be. And so I like to be present with that. And I think a lot of the lessons come from that state of being, and it ends up, that's how they end up being placed where they are in the story.
Nice.
Does anything just come up organically as you're writing though? Like you're just, oh wait, this is probably something pops up and you're like, maybe I should insert that, or is it really all pre-planned?
No, there's always room for, that's not working. Let's try something else. That's or this feels like an info dump. I need to do this differently. That definitely plays a part. And who the lesson is coming from changed in this book. Most of the time, the lessons were coming from Charlene instead of Lizzy, which in the first book, she was kind of the person that knew a bit more about gardening than Charlene did. But now Charlene is the one discovering a lot of the solutions. She's looking around as she's walking through the garden about the things people have used to ward off gophers and protect from bugs and that kind of stuff. So I think it spreads around to different characters this time.
Now, do you care? So I was listening to an author interviewed yesterday. Oh God, what's her name? I can't remember. Famous child's author, Joy. I'm gonna blow it. But anyway, she was saying that, in the process of being holed up all day writing, her characters took on a true life in her mind, and then she would get together with her family for dinner and at the evening meal, and she'd be like, "Oh, I can't wait to tell you what happened to so and so today," as if they're in her mind and her imagination, but to them, she's discovering them at the same time as this independent force. So are these people now that you're 2 and 3 books into it, working into your third, are these characters like bouncing around your brain all the time and in your world, and not only in the garden but in your day-to-day?
Yes, sometimes I think of them as being with me when I'm gardening. And something you said a second ago made me think about Sujin. Sujin, it came to me fully formed. Like she just showed up, and I know there are a lot of authors out there who sit down and they wait for their characters to tell them what to do. And I honestly don't feel like I've ever had that experience. I'm like, I have to figure this out. But when Sujin showed up, I was like, oh, I know exactly who she is. And it just everything, whenever I wrote about her, it just came right out really easily. I didn't have to think about her backstory or her personality or anything. It was just like words on the page just flowed really quickly for her. So I feel like she's in my head a lot. I feel like Ralph is in my head a lot. Because you know, we share a bit of a neurospicy brain. He's on the spectrum, and I feel like I am as well. And there's, so his thought process is a lot like mine too. So they're with me in that way. Yeah. Yeah,
I love it. And I know we probably touched on this a little bit when we talked about the last book and all of that too, but I always like, I really enjoyed my experience and experiences with the different community gardens that I've gotten to work with here in my city. But maybe you could talk about this just a little bit as far as how the setting of a community garden was important for the book and all of that, but in the sense of also the idea of bringing all of these different types of people, as we mentioned, these different characters and personalities and all of that sort of stuff, but the importance of community itself. One of the things that, you see is that these characters are working together. You know what I mean? They kind of create almost like this family in a way, right? And I think that's just one of those great things is I'm always trying to encourage people is, you don't got enough garden space, get out in your community, try to find a community garden. You're going to find a whole new set of people that you're going to really enjoy being around and learning new things about gardening and all of that too. So maybe you can talk about that just a little bit more too, about as we're continuing this adventure, this community garden and stuff, kind of that importance of that community that's being built.
Community, well, it's so many things. And what personally I feel about community is, just like gardening, diversity is key. Yeah. And we get too much in our little bubbles and we forget that there are different people out there. So it's this forced environment of different kinds of people, and you have to work on your skills, of being able to get along with people who you don't necessarily agree with. And I find that great. I find that we learn so much from those around us. I mean, I started gardening in my community garden 28 years ago, and I learned from everyone who had a plot around me. How do you do this? What's your trick for handling this bug, whatever? And it just, I was absorbing it like a sponge. And we can translate that to any part of our life in any community if we are open to receiving, what other people offer. And I think, there are different personalities, there's different politics, there's different socioeconomic levels, and it keeps us from thinking that we're all the same and that the world is homogenous. And I think we need that check, that little reality check all the time. So for me, the community was a start of my career and a friend base that I can, check in with every once in a while and say hi to and commune with and share gardening stories with. So I know that can be that for other people too.
Yeah, I think that's, again, too, just such a really good point, though, too, is especially in these times where technology is just taking over so much of our lives and all of that, and we can be stuck on our phones and just kind of isolate ourselves in a way a little bit, that it's just really important to be involved with other people. We are really social. Human beings are social, and we need to have other people in there, and especially that diversity, as you mentioned. We got to, have conversations with people we wouldn't normally have conversations with, and to be able to do things like that. And for me, in my experience as well, is that a community garden is just such a really great place to be able to find those things in your life.
Yeah, and it's also an escape from
Yeah.
all the other stuff that's staring you in the face all day,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
because I have to go to it to get the gardening done. And
Mhm.
for me, I live less than a mile away from my garden, so I try and walk there and back as often as I can. And that time between gives me a chance to shed whatever it is that I'm working on at home, at work, and then walk to the garden. And by the time I'm there, I'm like, whew, I'm here, you know?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
a meditative, quiet space as well, which is
Yeah.
so important and needed.
We're
Yeah, and
part of
then
that.
you
I was going to
oh,
say we're part of that strange breed that relaxes to relax from gardening. Does gardens to relax from gardening? It's like it's a weird thing, but it's so true. It really is.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I look out at all the things in my yard that need doing, and I'm like, maybe I'll go to OVF instead.
Yeah.
That's my
Right.
community garden that I belong to. Yeah.
I think
Well,
another big thing though is that, you know, it also gets you to the point where, you know, you can spend that time in the garden, do those sort of things, and then you're prepared for that walk back home, right? Because you got to
Right. I
get
have
back into the reality.
the reintegration is,
Yes.
yeah, it's real. Yeah.
something about both books that's interesting, even in the context of a community garden, is, you know, people can keep their heads down and kind of tend their own plot and kind of have their own standards and something. But in both books, there's some kind of a big threat that brings people together, right? So, I mean, have you seen that in your own community gardening dynamic? Like there's some either like, yeah, pipe is burst, the water's off. It doesn't have to be a murder in the garden or a potential sale of the garden. But I know gardens are fragile in terms of the leases and the things. So sometimes there's a need to rally together, or yeah, you lose water. There's a pipe that's burst or something, and everybody's problem is all of a sudden the same, bringing people together in that setting. Have those things happened to you, or?
Well, ironically, there's something really divisive happening at my community garden,
Oh no.
unfortunately. Yeah, so you know, there are folks who do their best to stay out of the politics of the garden, and then there are folks who just dive
Jump
in with
right in.
both hands, you
Yeah.
know, and so there is I try and ride a balance between the two things. And recently something happened and I had to speak up about it, and that sort of set off a cavalcade of opinions about it. So it's real, it does happen. But I it's just, that's life, right? It happens everywhere we go.
Yeah, I like have, for me, I just to share my own personal story, I had a really crazy one. In fact, I know Jay could probably look back. I've got a video I made on it years ago too, and having, it just seems like, you know, community gardens can be really great places and all that sort of stuff and everything, but now and then there's some things that could pop in and happen or whatever. And I had an issue at my community garden that actually became newsworthy
Oh,
throughout my
geez.
whole community and all of that sort of stuff. And yeah, it was the hottest night of the summer, and I was working late, and I needed to water my tomatoes. I just knew that, oh, I know they're dry, they're this and that. So I went into the community garden after hours to go and water these things. And so, you know, a couple of guys show up from the neighborhood who were not very good characters and decided to give me a rough time. I'll just say that right there. And but that kind of goes along with what Mark was asking there as well too, is that because that happened to me and I went through all of that, the rallying of all of my community gardeners around what happened to me and what was going on and with the garden and all that sort of stuff was, you know, it was again that point of community coming together, being there for each other and doing that sort of stuff. And it was probably you know, even though it was a really difficult thing for me to go through, it was really amazing to have all of these just really awesome people who I was just getting to know, you know what I mean? Just kind of stand with me and help me through and along this process, which took months to go through and lots of different, you know, court dates and all this sort of stuff. And they were all sitting there with me and doing all that sort of stuff. So again, you know, it was something that's really cool about a community garden and how, you know, community is built through through those spaces.
Did you see that? Jay already found the link.
He's
Oh my
really
gosh.
fast.
There it is. She's already there.
Yeah, she's already. Wow.
Yeah. Go check. You want to hear a story about dealing with something in a community garden with a real nonfiction story for sure. Right there. You go check that one out.
It happens, but I know
Mhm.
I know that there are times when my community garden pulls together to get stuff done that we, we've been hoping would happen, or a way to bring the public in to celebrate things as well. It's it's a great space, and more people should know about their local community garden, I think, because it is a world unto itself, but it's still very welcoming.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the question I have. Then this comes up in the book, the couple of books, and it's always on people's minds if they're applying for a community garden. There's a long wait list. Like, everybody has a wait list. There's never a sense like you could just go. I mean, and this is the trouble. If somebody's interested in gardening and they don't have a garden, you can't just say, oh, go to your local community garden, because it's like, oh, go wait 5 years before you can garden. So, I mean, this creates I think it's quite a problem. It's also a symptom, like, we're not meeting people's needs for gardening in our public spaces. And I know there's ways you can try to convince a private landowner, a church, a school, et cetera, et cetera. There's ways to try other avenues, but still, it's like, this is a problem for our country, because gardening is a very popular hobby. People really want to do it for their health and sustenance and such, and yet they just don't have enough space. What do you say to that?
Yeah, it is an issue. I know. So here in LA, we have more than 120 community gardens. And at my garden, the wait has come down, actually, from 5 years to about 3 years. And I tell people, just put your name on a list and then forget about it, and, get some pots and grow on your balcony or whatever, until you get that magic phone call one day and you'll be like, oh my God, I forgot I did this. And then you get a spot. But in terms of, here in LA, there's an organization called the Neighborhood Land Trust, Center for Neighborhood Land Trust, or something like that. I should remember this, but there are neighborhood land trusts, I think, in every state, and they help people locate property owners to negotiate leases for things like that. And that's a good starting point. You're right when you say churches and land that's on places of worship, because I've seen a lot of churches willingly convert their lawns into growing spaces for their parishioners. And, that's often the best use of that space, rather than spending water on a lawn, which isn't going to do anything for anybody. They turn it into plots for people. I feel like there's a way to, like, my community garden is run under the jurisdiction of Rec and Parks. So if you were to contact your Rec and Parks and see if they are interested in helping the community in that way of converting some lesser used park spaces, or adding park spaces that have that's probably a good direction to go to, because they're the bridge between the landowners, which is often not Rec and Parks, to the community itself. So my garden is on land owned by Los Angeles Water and Power, Department of Water and Power, but we're governed under Rec and Parks. So it's, there's a way to connect through them sometimes.
There's a slight. I teach at a Montessori school. I'm the garden teacher out at the edge of Portland, and right across the street from us is a piece of land that the city has been holding as a park. It was supposed to be developed as a park. We were helping to host a master plan vision a long time ago. I think it's been 10 years, and nothing's happened. But luckily, this one forward-thinking guy who runs a nonprofit called Outgrowing Hunger, he got on there and convinced the city to use this, but a slightly different twist on community gardening. He realized that a lot of immigrant families that live in this part of town, they are either come from a setting, or they are currently in a setting where they need to grow their food, literally. I mean, it's different between going hungry and not. And a standard community garden plot may not be enough for that. So he's been able to portion out like quarter-acre size plots
So
that are
nice.
feed a family kind of a plot, a real feed
Yeah.
yourself subsistence plot. So there's that kind of thing too, you know, where it's like really becomes very empowering and really helps to stave off hunger in an age of a lot of food insecurity.
Community
Yeah.
farm.
Yeah, there was so something happened after, you remember the documentary The Garden, which was about a community garden in East LA.
Yeah.
And they were thrown off their land by the owner of Forever 21, and it was a kind of really ugly thing, and they demolished that garden, and to this day is not developed as far as I know. But what ended up happening is that those farmers, those gardeners, went to a part of the city and they started leasing like you did. They found an arrangement. There was a group of people that came together to form a coalition to rent out quarter-acre, half-acre plots so that they could subsistence farm in that space. And it's more, it's sort of there's a part, when there's a risk of overflow of the LA River or, your aqueduct, there's a bunch of barren land in that space so that there's no damage if that happens. But they do rent those places out to farmers sometimes, and like, this may happen, but you can use it. So I think that's where they ended up, but I don't know all the details, and I don't want to misquote whatever it is that's going on, but I know that they did achieve that in a way.
That'd be a good space though, right? Get some flooding every now and then for a garden.
Good sediment in your soil. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Definitely. Anyways, my next question. I just go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry, I lost myself.
Well,
I lost my question.
I kind of noted at the
end. Go back
and sort of outlined. There's a sense. It's not a major plot point because I don't want to give away too much in that sense, but there is a sense of legacy. And a couple of poignant quotes about, how will I be remembered? There's a sense in which there's new life, right? Lizzy's getting the whole idea of moving toward new life that way. And then there's one of the beloved characters, Ned, the garden master, is starting to have to come to terms with the fact that he's not in possession of his powers as he was. And there's a sense in which, gardens, and the reason why we garden, maybe to perpetuate ourselves in a certain way, to give that extra excess of life, why we might have children. It's the same sense of throwing something toward the future because the present is so uncertain. So maybe you could talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the whole, there's two definitions of what bolting to seed means in the beginning of the book. And one is that the plant, at the end of its life, it sends out seed to perpetuate a future for the future of that. And then the other definition is that, what did I say? I don't know. What is the other definition?
Yeah.
But
I think it kind of goes along with Jay's question.
End stage of life.
Yeah.
Right. So when you think about bolting to seed, it is both death and life. So it's the end of an annual plant's life and the potential beginning of another plant's life. And so there's a lot of examples through the characters and the story arc of those cycles taking place in our lives, in our gardens, in the way that we think. And so, of course, naturally, our legacy and how we want to be remembered comes up in that. And I talked to a number of my friends to see, what's your take on perpetuating your future? How do you feel about the need to leave a legacy or not? And it played out interestingly because there are people who don't care about whether they leave an imprint on this planet or not, and there are others who it's burning desire. So I think I just kept coming back to that metaphor of this, seed propagating the future through gardening and our lives throughout the book.
I was definitely a Jared.
Okay. Okay, good to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was am kind of interested to hear how it lands with people. There have been some, I figured there's a little bit of controversy over the way things pan out or decided, and so people who want to have kids or don't want to have kids have very strong opinions about both of those ways of thinking. So I'm curious to see how everyone takes,
Yeah,
feels
I
about
kind of
that.
liked how that, as you dive into the book and get started, Lizzie's already kind of on this new quick adventure she's trying to go on here and trying to get this figured out. And as you get in there, you're like, oh, and you don't really kind of describe it quite yet. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on here already with these two? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I like to play out the thought process. So
Yeah.
This book starts with a lot of tumult, like things. Somebody's dead, Lizzy's out of her house, and it's like there's a lot of conflict right at the beginning, which I guess you can do in a second book because you've already got a storyline. You don't have to start describing things from the ground up. You've already built a world.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. I'm sorry. My cat Mittens just showed up. She's always upstaging me.
I was gonna say, so was there outside the window?
Yeah, that's Mittens. She shows up in my videos all the time. If you happen to be a fan of the Garden Nerd YouTube channel, she shows up and often upstages me in my videos. Sorry, I got distracted.
Same with my Georgie, my little George. He does too. Every time I'm out there with the camera, he's like, "Oh, it's my time to shine. I got to get out here." Oh, there,
she's back.
Right there.
She comes up and puts her paw on the windscreen when she wants me to let her in so I can feed her. But she's like, "It is lunchtime." So
what are you doing in there?
She's like, "Come
pay attention to me.
Open the door, feed me now." So it's past her mealtime. So
yeah.
So I completely lost the thread of your question, Mark, if you had one.
No, I think we're just going in the sense of like there's conflict and turbulence that begins this story. Last time it was a little bit more, had to focus on the descriptions of establish the place and setting, so you can sort of in a second book, and I imagine a third book too, you can plunge right in and get it juicy real fast. And it also serves, of course, as a hook. I mean, obviously a murder mystery, you don't want to wait too long to discover that something's gone wrong, and then you can go for a backstory. You can kind of lead up to it again.
Yeah, and there was, the rule of thumb is that you're supposed to reveal the murder in the first third of the book, and I'm like, that's not going to happen this time. It's just not going to happen. But there's enough that carries people through, I think, until the body is discovered. So you get a hint of it in the very beginning, and then you forget about it, and then it's like, oh, we're back. This is when that happens. Oh, okay, great. So
exactly.
Nice.
And how's book 3 coming?
Yay, Robin. Thank you for ordering both books. I appreciate that. Sorry, what was that, Mark?
Well, how's book 3? Like last time, I think you showed us you had a man, not that we're expecting at this time, no reveal is necessary, but you had a manuscript that you were sending off last time, which was this book. And I'm just wondering, like, I know you've been thinking about this for a long time. I'm sure you have some very long arcs to characters. So how's book 3 coming?
And I would kind of add to that too, as how's book 3 coming, but what's the overall vision of the arc? Do you have like this, people who write these long series television shows, they know how it's going to end or where they want it to lead to and that sort of stuff. So is that, do you have that as well?
I don't. Book 3 is a little different. It will be different. And I'm still, honestly, I'm like, do I want to write book 3? I don't know. I have to see. Because I should have probably written a first draft by now, and I haven't. But that said, I do have notes on book 3, and I know what it's going to be. And I know what's going to happen to start it off. And I know how the structure is going to be. But but I haven't worked out the character arcs and what's going to happen. I do know that Gloria will be back.
Okay.
And
there we go. Good news.
I know that it's a time jump, another time jump, a couple of years more ahead.
Okay.
And there is supposed to be, the way I have it in my head, because this is a trilogy. Garden Variety is a rom-com, Bolting to Seed is a murder mystery, cozy mystery, and the third book is supposed to have a fantasy element to it. So, I mean, if you're thinking like, you know, fairy rings and secret gardens and that kind of thing, that's where I'm headed with this one. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds interesting for sure.
Yes.
You got any new characters or anything you're thinking about, or?
Not yet, but there will be.
For sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of the regular ones too.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, you have to keep going on those established character arcs and bring up some new ones to highlight. I think Ananda is going to end up being a more of a major character in this third one, because she is the granola head kind of nature girl, so it makes sense that she would tie in with a fantasy theme a little bit more. And I'm also thinking about a story arc for her that I can't talk about. Don't say anything.
It's so hard to talk about these things.
Like, I can't talk about it. Yeah,
I know, that's the thing. I dance around all the questions because that might be just a little too leading, or can't give it away, because that's what the fun of these books is to discover those things as we're reading them.
Well, you guys have done a great job of not giving anything away, so thank you.
I know it's hard, actually. I'm internally censoring because I keep thinking about things to say, and I'm like, oh,
nope,
no,
can't say that.
Yeah, can't say that.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
We're working hard here. We're working hard to keep you covered.
That's right. That's right.
So who's reading it so far? Who are you getting feedback from? Are community garden groups doing this? Are they doing it together? Are garden groups of gardeners doing this together, reading it and talking about it? Because
I would love that. I'm really bad at promoting my own work.
That's tough.
I have not even scheduled a launch party, like other than the virtual launch party that we did for Kickstarter supporters. We did a virtual launch party for them, but I don't even have a physical in-person launch party scheduled yet, because I'm just like, I got other things to do. But that said, I am having a little gathering with my own community garden phase, my section of the garden. We're getting together to have a little fun, but it's in with other stuff that was already planned, and they're like, we'll talk about your book. I'm like, great. And then so what I did was I released it on NetGalley for people to review and share with their audience. And so I'm starting to get the feedback from some of the readers from that. And that's been kind of nice. There is a book guide in the back. If anyone wants to adopt this for their book club, I highly recommend it. And of course the 10 takeaway garden lessons from the book, From Bolting to Seed. So launch party here and now.
Yeah, exactly. Here we are.
Yeah. So I'm still, because usually I have a book launch party at my favorite independent bookstore in Santa Monica, California. It's called Diesel Bookstore. But they're booked out until August, which at first I was like, well, maybe that's too far away. I can't do it. But now I'm like, well, it's going to be here before I know it. So I might as well schedule that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I did
give yourself some time too.
Yeah. And there's a brand new, very sweet little bookstore that opened up right down the street from me. And I thought, wouldn't this be great if we help bring people to their new bookstore to help give them some visibility? But I haven't heard back from them, so I assume they're very busy. And I probably should just walk down there and go in and say, hey guys. So I'm still working on it. It's just been a weird time where I have not been, I just kind of let it go. I'm just like, let's just put this book out there and just see what happens without promoting it at all. So, that's what's happening.
Well, I imagine it's like there's just such a continuity of like the mind merge between your other book, the one to come, this one. It's like where it's probably hard to even locate yourself like, oh yeah, those ideas were in this book packaged. Now it's ready for the world. It's kind of probably one big reality for you that's out there.
Yeah, it does take a lot of my brain space. It's taking up a lot of rent in my head.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the other day I was talking to somebody who's from my community garden, and we were talking about because in the real garden there are phases, not sections. In the book it's sections, but they're, sections 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the book are in a different order than phases 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the real garden that this is modeled after. And I said the section to this person that I was talking to, and it was from my book, not in reality. I'm like, oh no, I meant phase 1, not phase 3. I'm sorry, it was backwards. So I'm sort of, there are times when I'm living inside my book a little too much.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. The creative juices are really flowing then, right? That's for sure.
And to be honest, sometimes I just want to disappear into that world because it's better than what's going on in reality.
Oh, gosh.
So
Yeah.
And great point, because that's just one of those things. It is fun to be able to escape into a good, fun, alternate reality world or whatever, and just get away from all of the stuff that we're already dealing with.
Yeah.
They ask here, how do the gardening lessons sprinkled throughout the book mirror the process of solving the mystery?
Ooh, I wish I had been clever enough to tie that in to the mystery.
Right.
That is a good point. So in book 3, that actually would be helpful to do, because then it would tie in with some of the things going on. But it mostly does not tie into the mystery, because I had to bury the clues so that they weren't obvious. And so I think I was avoiding trying to draw attention to what exactly, how it happened, where it happened, who is involved, and all of that. So I think if anything, the garden lessons are used as a distraction from the murder.
Yeah, that's right. I will though share here, because we usually do a reading from most all of our books. So I have to find one little spot came up perfect, and it has to do with a garden tip that it comes in here is Lizzy's explaining, and I love that she uses fungal dominant compost tea.
Thank you
very much. I am brewing that myself.
But in the book here, we talk about compaction. Usually from overwatering can kill off beneficial bacteria and fungi. Then without competition, pathogens move in. If you broad fork your soil instead of tilling it, that will invite in more oxygen and encourage beneficial bacteria and fungi to grow and repopulate. Once you restore balance, the pathogens die off and are kept at bay by the beneficials. It's a win-win for the soil microbe and the gardener alike. Jason said, Can't we just pull out the big guns like copper fungicide to wipe everything out? Be careful of copper fungicides, Lizzy said. Aside from the fact that it doesn't target bacteria, copper builds up in the soils and causes other problems down the line. Like what? Like it blocks nutrients from being absorbed by the plant. Okay, Jason laughed. Maybe not copper fungicide. Take the biological route if you can. Sherilyn noticed everyone was smiling, a far cry from how the meeting began. Folks looked more eager to return to their jobs than before. Garden talk was the best medicine for ailing hearts and souls, she always thought.
Yeah.
And I wanted to end with that sentence because I think that's great, because that's what we're here for, is garden talk and enjoy and all of that. And I love the way that's put together, and, kind of shows how you're working and incorporating these little tips into the things that they're doing throughout their days there at the garden.
Yeah, they get together to try and form a partner, a buddy system, so that they feel safe in the garden. And that came up during the discussion.
Yeah. Right on. Well, again, too, just really, really great book. I encourage everybody out there, if you haven't had a chance to, check out these books. Of course, you want to start off with the first, You don't really have to, though, I suppose, because you could read this one and start it off, and this could be your prequel
Yep,
and go back
exactly.
to
Yeah,
if you
no, I
want,
think it
for
could be
those
a standalone.
cinephiles out there.
Yeah, it is. My editor wanted to make sure that it was a standalone book, so she made me go back. I basically added 8,000 words of backstory and descriptions to make sure everybody knew who everyone was and what they looked like and what was going on before, so that they could read it alone as a standalone. But if it doesn't give anything away from the first book, except, of course, that Lizzy's relationship ends a certain way. So
Right.
there's that.
Right, yeah.
But it's fun to know how people find each other. So there's that.
Yeah. You know
Yeah.
what I
Thanks
think
so
would-
much, guys.
Yeah, you know what I think would be really fun, though, too, is find like a cool artist who could do like an artist rendering of who and how these guys look, maybe, you know, or something would be kind of a fun one.
Okay, so here's the thing. One of the stretch goals for Kickstarter, which we didn't end up reaching, was a charactered illustration poster of all of them.
wow.
And
See, that
and
would
my
be cool.
my husband spent some time with his favorite AI illustrator thing and
Yeah.
came up with a pretty good rendering of each of the characters. And
Oh,
I have to tweak it because of course, AI is like blurg,
Yeah.
blurg, blurg. Let me give
Yeah.
you nonsense language that makes no sense. So we have
Mhm.
to fix some of it, but that may surface at some point. Yeah, book
Well,
4
that's gotta
graphic
be
novel.
fun to really
Yes.
visualize. It brings a new level of reality when you can visualize these people a little bit more beyond your own imagination.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to put them to good use. I want to chop it up and like do like character slides of each of the characters in a little post on social media or something like that. But haven't done the fix yet. I need to do that first, and then we can do that bit. So more soon. Stay tuned. You can follow me on Garden Nerd 1 on Instagram and TikTok, and or
Mhm.
go to gardennerd.com. You can find all of those things.
Yeah.
And I have to say, you guys have caught me in the moment where I have a video posted on Instagram that just happens to be going viral right now. And
Really?
so-
Wonderful.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's weird. The first video that I had that went viral was like, what? Because it was about carrots. When carrots bolt to seed,
You're right.
thematic. They make a big umbrella shaped flower, and
Mhm.
my social media guy, he's like, go get your biggest carrot out of the refrigerator that you grew. And I brought out this gigantic Yellowstone carrot, and I was like, this is a carrot, and then pointed to the flower. I was like, this is also a carrot. And the internet was like, what? This is where carrots come from. And it was like crazy. So today's video, it was posted yesterday or 24 hours, I don't know, anyway, is all about like a trick for keeping the cornworm moth from laying its eggs on the, from getting cornworms in your silk in your corn ears.
Yeah.
So it's like got over 1 million views right now, and I'm like,
Oh my God,
What?
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
So it's an opportune time to be talking to you today. I feel like it's a good luck day. So
It is
thanks.
a big
That's-
luck day for sure. I love it.
Yeah.
That's really
That's so
great.
cool. The algorithm has blessed you.
For this moment in time, it has.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. And so again, one of the things too, and again, we were just so excited to get talking about this book, that we jumped right into it here into the interview, but we usually start our interview. So maybe we'll kind of end the interview a little bit by talking about how things are growing in your garden this year. How things are going.
Yeah.
What's you got your own garden. We were talking about a fictional one here, but maybe a little bit about the home garden and how are things growing out at the community garden as well too.
Yeah. So, all right. So the community garden is kind of a disaster this season. And the reason is we have had terrible rabbits, coyotes who are not eating the rabbits well enough, rats and gophers.
Oh my God.
Plus powdery mildew, because I'm a marine coastal garden, blight, both early, late, and septoria leaf spot. And just like weird weather, because we'll have cold temperatures one week and then scorcher the next week, and it keeps toggling back and forth, and the garden just doesn't know what to do. So I'm protecting everything as best I can with cages and netting and floating row cover. And,
Oh yeah.
just kind of like, well, it's going to be what it is. And that's the community garden right now.
Wow.
But I did today, weirdly, bring home my first zucchini from the garden, which is weird because I planted golden squash and it came up as a zucchini. So
Wow, weird.
I'm like, when your seed packet is lying to you,
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
there's that. So that's happening there. Here, I'm having better success. I've got winter squashes that are starting to set fruit. I've got tomatoes that are all green, and I'm like, hurry, before the rats start taking them. We've been setting rat traps, and I've caught 7 rats in 1
Oh
week.
my
So
God,
it's
wow.
just like crazy. And the opossums are dragging the rat. I'm sorry if I'm being too graphic,
Oh
but
my God.
sometimes one of our traps will go missing, and it's because an opossum has come and taken the rat away after it's been trapped. So I think the numbers are
Wow.
higher than that. And then the rat trap turns up in a corner wedge somewhere with nothing in it.
Wow, they figure that thing right out.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. But I've got tomatoes, basil, I'm growing peppers. I have corn, I've got green onions, I've got winter squashes, lettuces, cucumbers, and yard-long beans. Yay. Those are all just coming up, and strawberries are producing right now. Blackberries, I got a second wave of blackberries, which is weird. And I'm in Southern California, so our growing season is different from everyone else.
Yes.
And
second wave of blackberries, though.
Second
That's
wave.
nice.
I never get a
great.
second wave. We usually get them in March and maybe into April, and then it stops. But this year, I've got them in June again, which is
crazy.
So there's that. And that's pretty much what's happening here at the garden. I have a pineapple. A pineapple is like this big.
You have a pineapple.
Yes, it's so cute.
I've always wanted to grow a pineapple.
Yeah, and I have a video on how you can grow it from the cuttings off at the market. You can do that. And it's just kind of exciting to have a few new things that I've never grown before growing. So the varieties. So I'm growing Marina di Chioggia winter squash, because that makes the sweetest pumpkin anything that you want to grow. And oh my God, bow tie life. We caught 43 huge rats in our garden in 11 days. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I'm using snap traps. I'm not live catching because
like
they
I said at the beginning of the show, I feel for you. Have to deal with the animal pests.
It's so hard.
Gosh.
It's so hard. And there's only so much you can do. You can cover it to some degree, but outside of building an entirely enclosed top to bottom garden, that's really the only solution.
Yeah.
And they find their way in anyway there. But that's kind of it. And I'm like, it's not too late to do that, I suppose. But I'm growing Aleppo pepper this year, which is it's used dry in a lot of dishes in a particular cookbook I got. If you're a fan of Milk Street, Christopher Kimball, he uses a lot of Aleppo pepper in their dishes. So I'm like, I'm going to grow this Aleppo pepper that I've never seen before. So I'm doing that. And that's what's happening this year.
Wonderful. Awesome.
Sounds great, and also painful with all these pests and diseases you're battling.
Yeah, it gets disheartening, but it's still something to do, and I enjoy most of it, and we're still harvesting some of it. So it's like, okay, some for me, some for the, what's that poem? It's that you plant for the crow, you plant one for the it's annoying. Mittens is
That's
back.
the problem is we don't ever remember to plant the one for the crow, you know what I mean?
Right. I don't overplant. I really don't overplant. So when it's devastating, it's really devastating,
It really is. Yeah, like I said, poor folks with the animals and stuff. I've been out. It's been a slug weekend for me. So I'm out every day in the middle of the night out hunting down slugs all over the place. And I swear I'm getting
wear a headlamp?
I should wear
Yeah, that's the best.
I'm with my phone, I'm doing all I should.
Oh no, then it's hands free, because then you can go out and
because I should, I don't even know why I don't, because again, you're holding the thing and I got a little red Solo cup and I'm plucking them and putting them in there, plucking them, putting there, and every I got to remember every 30 seconds or so. You got to look down at the cup, or the slugs are going to be clawing.
They're going to
all day.
crawl out. Yeah, you
Yeah,
have to
they're
check
so
that.
and there's fat. They are fast too,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
sometimes. But man, I've collected over the last 3 nights like 3/4 of a solo cup full of slugs and snails, because I garden on an alleyway, lots of cement patio stuff where they can hide everywhere and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah, you need opossums where you live, because they eat flea and tick eggs and larvae, and they eat snail and slugs and their eggs. So you need opossums.
Wow,
yeah. Figure out how to get some to stay around here for sure.
You have an opossum shortage. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
We all like to be ecologists when the plants and the creatures are working for us, but then it's harder to be when they're doing their own thing, and that's contrary to our interests, isn't it?
True. So true. Yeah. Someone's been doing slug hunting. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they got all up in my cabbages, but I feed them to my chickens. When I get a head home and I pull back those leaves and there's slugs in there, I'm just like bloop, bloop, bloop off into the chicken cage, into their chicken run in there. They're so happy.
That's what I really need. That, or I guess ducks are really big on, but those things are so messy.
And so loud. Ducks are so loud. I mean, they're cute and stuff, but
yes. Well, right on, Christy. I mean, thanks so much again for writing such a great book that we can have so much fun and like we were mentioning earlier, escape the world and get to enjoy these really amazing characters and the adventures they're on at this really awesome community garden and everything. And for all of you out there who are watching with us too, definitely get yourself a copy of Bolting the Seed or Garden Variety. Not only that, Christy is also the author of some really great gardening books and all of that as well too. Yes, indeed. Go find that over at Garden Nerd, and as well we got links down below so you can go find all of those great books, her blog, her Instagram too. Check out this viral video I got to go check out now and be one of those views as well too. So yes, really amazing stuff. We look forward to book 3. Let's get working because it's like again for us people who like movies and TV series and
the next
things
one.
like that, it's so hard to wait for the next one.
Yeah, I know. And I'm still, my agent is still shopping around Garden Variety to try and find someone who wants to turn it into a TV series. So that's still on the target.
You have to ask about that. Yeah,
I want that. I still want that. So
it's kind of be like applying for a community garden plot. We want it now, but we have to just wait for that pleasant notice when it happens.
That's right. That is correct. Someday, hopefully I'll have good news on that. I mean, if you think about I might have mentioned this before in a previous interview, but if you think about the women who wrote Outlander and Bridgerton, their first book was published 20 years before it ever turned into a series. So I know my timeline.
Got to be patient, right?
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. So.
Well, thanks for being such a great gardening ambassador. I mean, writing fiction is, and as you said last time, the garden is kind of a character and it still remains that way. But I think it's just a great introduction for people. Maybe people who have never been in a community garden are going to encounter it first through fiction and then generate an interest. So I think it's a wonderful way to reach people who may not be in the garden world or may want to just dip a toe in through a story like this. So thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm happy that you think of it that way, because that's what was my intention. So thanks.
Wonderful. Excellent, Christy. Thank you so much again for being here. And like I said, everybody check out those links down below. Oh, there we go. We'll be right back. Just one moment.
Hoping to see. Thanks, Christy.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
We did it. Wow, another one down, but that was great for a repeat visit with Christy Wilhelmi.
Absolutely. Again, too, just really fun books, starting with Garden Variety, Bolting the Seed now. And again, just really enjoy that. I'm so glad that when I was first kind of thinking about this show, right? And I've shared with people that, originally and you remember as we were talking about and developing and trying to think of a name for the show, my big idea was Garden Variety Show, right?
Yep.
And from that's how I discovered this book and all of that sort of stuff. So really, really glad that I thought of this show in order to find this book, because just a really great book, great author. Christy's just really, really awesome, really amazing, and like I said, all of the other great books that she's written as well too. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this conversation today with Christy about her books, Garden Variety and Bolting to Seed, and get yourselves a copy of these books and enjoy these books as much as we have.
Well, let's hope we take in all her garden lessons, but that we never discover a body in our gardens.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The body for sure, and again too, I've had as I mentioned before too, I've had my experiences out in the community garden. I'm glad I didn't end up being the body in the
Yeah. Wow. What a scare. My God.
Yeah, it was pretty great. But then again too, though, I think the really great thing about sharing that experience was the connection to what's really kind of the cool themes of these books too, is a community garden of different people who are gathering together to experience all of these sort of things together, whether it's growing tomatoes and all the different flowers and things that they're growing throughout their garden spaces, or helping each other through things that they're going through in their own personal lives. It's great to make those types of connections and friends, and what a better place to do it than a community garden.
Yeah, I mean, it really drives home the point that our public lands, our cities, our counties, our states, whatever it is, but especially in the city or the even the neighborhood council kind of scale, it's like we all have a voice to say how we want that used, because there's so many people who do want a garden and don't have the space, and they're just looking for space. And it's kind of just a great use of our public land to put it to gardening and let people mix and mingle together in this really wonderful atmosphere where, like-minded people can get together and share ideas and celebrate harvest together. So just on some level, we should all be advocates for community gardens in whatever way we can do that. It's an important part of our civic fabric, I think.
Yeah. No, that's really great too. And as we were talking about earlier as well too, and I didn't get in to mention this, but community gardens can come with a wait list, especially if you live in big cities and that sort of stuff. But if you end up or want a community garden, or your community gardens around you have a nice big long wait list, well, then that's a sign telling you that, hey, maybe we need a little more organization in your neighborhoods or around your community and that sort of thing, to build and develop more spaces and work on more spaces. And what I will do is recommend another book here as well too, to finish this off today, from a book by Lamanda Joy. It's How to Create a Community Garden, and gives all these great tips of how and who to work with when it comes to wanting to start up and set up a community gardens within your communities too. So that's another thing. So there's not room in the community garden as well, maybe there's some space around your neighborhoods or your community that could be converted to a community garden. And it takes good people and gardeners and folks out there who to help develop those spaces to make them available for our communities.
One of the lessons from fiction, when we read about any kind of fictional work, is we get to create the world we want to live in, right? And for the author, that's very apparent, because Christy Wilhelmi gets to sit down and dream up these characters and make some stories work out the way she wants to. But in our lives, even though it's a little harder than in the world of fiction, we can do that too. We can make the world we want to live in. So I hope the world always has some great gardens and some great public gardens and some great community gardens for everybody to enjoy. So we can be part of that.
Yes, that's right. And then, like I said, it's really a needed thing at this time right now too, in this day, more than just the time itself specific to the things that we're going through, but it's this day and age now of technology and things, as I was mentioning before, where we can just find ourselves isolated so easily, and having community and having people around us is a really good thing. And even going as far as, saying it, having a real diverse community, even folks who don't think as like you or don't,
Mhm.
either, the way they look at the world the way you do, and that sort of stuff too, because those types of thoughts and conversations with other folks are really what helps, us build our characters and how we think about things and what we're doing and that sort of stuff too. So it's just a community gardens all around, great things. Great book though, centered around a community garden and all of that. What a fun and awesome book club this month.
Oh yeah, perfect. And I, like I said, I really like the breaking out of the nonfiction world and getting a fiction title is just really fun, especially when it's so apropos to gardening as these books have been by Christy Wilhelmi.
Yes, exactly. So, all right. Yeah. Well, now that we've finished up our June selection of our monthly gardening book club, it's time to move on to what is going to be our July selection of the monthly gardening book club. And I'm really excited about this one. Next month's gardening book club, we've got joining with us. Yes, we've got Marc Valencia from Self-Sufficient Me. He's a new author. That's right. He's written his very first book, 100 Top Crops.
I got it.
Right. There you go. Mark's already got his copy. I'm waiting to get my copy in the mail here right now too, so I could dig into this book as well. But yeah, Marc Valencia, known worldwide for his love and passion of gardening and growing and all of that, has one of the top YouTube gardening channels in the world for gardening, is going to take his time to come and join with us this next month for the third Sunday. Remember, third Sundays of the month. Come and join with us here to discuss these just really amazing, wonderful books and discuss these books with the authors of the books. That's what makes our book club so much fun and so cool and different than your normal neighborhood book club, right?
I love reading the book, knowing I'm going to be able to talk with the person who wrote it. I mean, it's not just an isolated exercise. It really, to me, it brings, talk about community garden. I know I've felt the spirit of community with all these authors. And, sometimes like I've even met Jennifer Jewell in person at the Flower and Garden Show, and we had a lovely conversation because of the book group conversation that we had online first. So it's just great to hear their voices, to hear backstories, to hear what's next, how's your garden going, from these very real people who do these amazing things by putting their energy together and giving it to us in a book form.
Yeah, it was great. And I have to mention too that I met Christy Wilhelmi for the first time in person up at the Seattle Flower and Garden Show. She was there a couple of years back and did a talk out there, and then met her the next shortly the next year, or no, within that same year. It was the end of the year though when I went down to LA for the Heirloom Exposition down there when they brought that back to LA. So it's always fun to get to meet these people, and you all get to meet them right here, right on the Let's Get Growing show here, through all of the fun conversations that we get to have here each and every weekend, and all of these just really amazing books and authors and that we get to talk to here on the monthly gardening book club.
Well, Enoch, I've always said you do the heavy lifting in this relationship, in terms of like you are scanning and scouring the internet world of gardening, finding these people who are really interesting, that some of whom I've never heard of, and going out and talking to them. Sometimes it's somebody you already know, sometimes it's a cold call.
Yeah.
But you get these folks and you bring them into my horizon of awareness. You bring them in for our listeners. So I really appreciate that, because it is a big, wide world of gardening. There's some really amazing people out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we're just, we're ships in the night. We're passing. We never know about each other. So this book group is a great way to get to know some of these amazing people, get to know their book, but to get to know them personally as well as a human being. It's pretty cool. So my hat is always off to you, and I love doing this together.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I think the really cool thing I think you mentioned in there too is that, some of them you don't even know, right? And I think that's just one of the great things about this show, and the concept of this show as we were first thinking about it, was the idea is that the world is full of these just amazing gardening educators and communicators and different people from all over the place, you know, that are sharing their knowledge of gardening. And it's just one of the things that I've always found so fascinating about the wider gardening community. It's just all these just amazing people who are sharing and helping, and us regular backyard gardeners or alleyway gardeners or rooftop gardeners, whatever type of gardener we are, helping us along through our journey and all of that. So to be able to have them here with us, to be able to have these conversations with them, to learn about their garden stories and that sort of stuff is just, you know, it makes this show so fun, you know. And I just really appreciate you, for one, you know, being one of my original garden friends as I got this whole garden adventure started almost 10 years ago. Mark, been talking about this. Next year's 10 years. It's going to be crazy, but yeah, it's just really great to have one of my good friends along this ride with me too. So I really appreciate you coming here and joining with us each and every month to talk with these gardeners too. So it's just as much fun for me.
I look forward to my third Sundays. And, you know, as I'm reflecting on it, Enoch, we are 6 months, 6 out of 12. We just hit the halfway mark of this whole year. So we've been,
wow.
It's like crazy.
It's flying by. It's flying by.
A year into Garden Book Club, and it is flying by. I can't believe it.
Yeah. I think I was mentioning this to you last time or whatever too, is I got to find a whole new shelf now, because my shelf is filling up, man. And we got more and more and more to come. Like I said, we got Marc Valencia coming up next month. This is going to be amazing. I love talking to Marc. Marc's been, for someone who's got such a big channel, is so widely known. It's just so awesome of him to help support our show and to do that. He's always really excited about coming and hanging out with us. So it's going to be great to have him this next month too, as well. So right on.
Can't wait to meet him.
Excellent.
Get some Aussie. We're going to get some down under wisdom.
That's right. And he's got to wake up nice. He always wakes up so early for us. It's so amazing. But yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait for you to get to meet him and talk to him as well too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And all of you too as well out in the audience. Thank you for being here. Thanks, Marc. I'm going to go ahead and take a real quick moment here. I'll be right back and let's finish up this show.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
All right. There we go. Another really, really great show. Oh man, I'm telling you, I have so much fun here every single weekend hanging out with all of you and getting to talk with all these, just like you said, amazing people who get to come and join with us on the show and share all of these wonderful things. Our book club today. And again, this really awesome book by Christy Wilhelmi. I hope you guys get those links down below. Get yourself a copy of that book there too. Go and check out as well next month's book, 100 Top Crops, as we'll have Marc Valencia with us next month as well too. And if you didn't get a chance to as well, I just want to quickly mention last Sunday, on the Sunday edition, we had our good friends King Starr and Christopher Bransdahl. Christopher joins with us from the mountains of Norway, and our good friend Kang from Texas and the Pepper Lovers community. You want to go and check that out. Always a fun conversation with those two. If you didn't get a chance to check out yesterday's show too, we had our good friend David from Bowtie Life and Paul from Guten Garden, our other contributors to our Sunday edition in the garden segment, hanging out with us for a fun garden roundtable yesterday as well too. So you want to go and check out those shows if you haven't yet already, and look forward to this next week as well too. We're going to have more garden contributors coming in and joining with, or Let's Get Growing contributors coming in and joining with us next Saturday and Sunday as we get rolling back into full swing here on the Let's Get Growing show. We've got more amazing, great, awesome guests lining up for shows coming up in the coming weeks. So definitely keeping an eye out for all of those as well too. So again, everybody, thank you so much for being here. And if you can, real quick before you head out, let's go ahead and click that like button. subscribe and bell notification if you haven't already. Share with all of your garden friends and let them know about the Let's Get Growing show and all of these awesome guests and conversations we get to have here each and every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and definitely, where is it at? There it is. Drop down below into the description and find all of the links to our contributors and our guests today, and go and check out Christy's viral video too. Let's go help her get some more views on that. Right on, everyone. Really great to be here and hang out with all of you again. Thank you so much for taking your time to be here with me on Father's Day. That's right. One more quick happy Father's Day. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see all of you on next weekend.